Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk to you about the ups and downs of doing stump grinding and my personal story of, the downtime and what I think is going on right now is about the same thing is happening back in 2008. I'm getting the same feeling. Back in 2008, it liked to shut me down completely, and when gas went to $4 a gallon, and here we are with diesel at $5.50, and I'm already noticing a big difference in phone calls and and I watch the stock market and I pay attention a lot to companies, and I'm already starting to see a lot of the companies scaling back already. Amazon is laying off employees. The trucking industry, they was hiring and they wanted people, and now I read an article where some of them were actually laying people off, just laying them off because they ain't got to work no more. And after the pandemic, they're just, it's that. And Walmart is running into issues where the customers are not buying as much. They're not buying brand new, name brand stuff. They're buying generic brands. Target, same way. So it's all these companies they're starting to scale back. The larger companies are starting to scale back, and so you can see the writing on the wall. They're starting to raise interest rates. So and they said that's going to slow the economy down. So, with all that being said, and I've already seen it back in 2008, when it happened, and I was around in 2000, in 99, 2000, 2001 when the bubble happened on that. And we recovered from it, and then it took 10 years for 2008 for recovery. So, and I've been noticing stuff. It's like deja vu all over again. And you forget about it until it starts happening again, and you're thinking, "Oh man, here we go. We might be going down the same rabbit hole again." And so the ups and downs of it, you got to be careful. That's why I always stress to you about being, trying to pay off, be debt free, live on below your means, save and give and all that. That's the gist of it, because if you don't, it's going to put you in a bind. I've seen it in my own personal life. Back in 2008, I was working for a company and I ended up losing that job. My wife was pregnant at the time, and I was doing this part-time, and I was doing very well at it part-time, and it just kept growing and growing and growing, and all that. But anyway, I ended up losing that job during that period of time, and it could have been devastating. I would not be sitting here. I know hands down that I would not be sitting here talking to you if I hadn't, paid the house off, got debt free, stayed out of debt, all that. Hands down, I would not be here talking to you. I wouldn't probably be married. I'd probably be in bankruptcy, and I wouldn't be sitting here doing this. So I'm saying this out of caution, So I'll take you back to a little story that got me motivated a little bit. And so I was talking to my dad one day, and I just bought the house that we're in. We're still living here. And I just bought it, and I was talking to him, and I was young. I think I was 24 or 25 at that time. So I just bought that house. We moved in. We hadn't had no kids at that time, and I was rolling, buddy. I mean, I had a good job. Everything's hunky-dory and everything's great, man. Everything's wonderful. And I told my dad, I called him and was talking to him one night. I said, hey, I got me a house, man. I finally own me a house. And I must have said something to him to upset him. Because he said to me, he says, you don't own your house. I said, by George, I do own my house. He said, no, you don't. You don't own your house. I said, no, all my stuff's in here. My name is on on the payments and the title, all that. I mean, all that. No, man, I own it. He said, you don't own it. He said it again, and I about got mad. I was fired up. I said, by George, I do own it. He said, I tell you what, miss 3 payments and call me and tell me who owns your house. And I got to thinking about it. I hung up the phone with him, and I got thinking about it. And I'm like, man, I mean, he's right. He's right. He is right, And during that time, the economy's going great. Everything's, And then I started having problems at my work, And didn't get along with the boss very well. And so I wanted to do a side job, side hustle, where I didn't depend on these cats, the company I work for. Because they called me in one day, and here's what they said to me. They said, hey, you didn't go to college, did you? I said, no. I said, why's that? They said, well, I mean, if you lose your job here, could you, be able to pay for your house? Could you, this, that? And I got thinking about it after, and it was during old time when old daddy said, hey, buddy, you don't own your own house there, buddy. So I got thinking about it. Oh, man, no, we're not going to have this game. We're not going to play this game. So I set out, and that's how the little snowball got to rolling. And I got, one way I got into doing this, because of that thought behind that. And anyway, it took me 27 months, and I paid the house off. And it is not a big house, it's a small house, it's not nothing, no mansion, it's just a small house. And, but, it's paid for, and I don't owe nothing on it. And, everybody, my wife loves it, and I love it, and that's all that matters, And, but it wasn't long after that, and I lost my job. I ended up losing that job. We just didn't see eye to eye, and we parted ways, and and all this, that, and so they ended up letting me go. And so my wife was pregnant during that time, and they dropped. I'll never forget it. They dropped me off in front of the house, and my wife was there on the porch. And sure enough, she said, "What's going on?" I said, "I don't work here no more." And she's pregnant now. It's like 2 weeks before she's due. 2 weeks, 2 weeks. And she's like, or 6 weeks. It was either 2 weeks, I think it was 6 weeks. I'm sorry, 6 weeks. And I went back. I had to go sign papers at the company, and they said, we're only going to cover you 1 month of insurance. I was like, well, she's due in 6 weeks. You'll have to get COBRA. How much is COBRA? It's $1,200. Well, now we're fired up now. We're upset now because, now I can't draw unemployment. I can't do any of that. And now I got a wife at home that's pregnant, and it's dead of winter. So I went home that night, and what's on TV? Obama is getting elected the first time. The first term, that night I watched him on the news get elected. I mean, he had his, the ceremony and all that. I mean, he got elected. And, oh man. So, I mean, depression and everything hit, buddy. I mean, it was, I'm in a mess. I'm in a pickle. And so she, I told her, I said, I'm going to go sign up for unemployment because I ain't got no work coming in. And my wife said, no, you're not. You're not signing up for it. So I was like, no, I got to. And she's like, no, just wait till spring, March or whatever, March and April, and you'll be wide open. And that was the toughest 3 months that I ever went through during that period of time. That was tough. I mean, mentally, everything, because if I hadn't did all that and become debt free and had some savings and saved a little bit, I could honestly say that I'd probably be in a divorce right now. I'd probably gone through a divorce. I'd probably went through bankruptcy if I had the payments. And I would probably be bad off. So when I stress, and say off-the-cuff comments like, hey man, pay as you go, save a little bit of cash, and all that, it's coming from my heart, like, hey, I want the good for you. I mean, we all in this world together, and ain't no sense in everybody being rough to each other, So, I just say that, to help you out. And I'm not trying to brag or nothing. I'm just trying to be honest with you, help you out. And anyway, spring happens, and sure enough, I was wide open. But the funny thing about it was, years later, I asked my wife, I said, I'm just curious, why didn't you ever, during that time I could have signed up for unemployment. And she said it would have took the drive out of it. It would have took the drive out of it. And I'm like, really? She said, yeah, because she said, you're so much of a driven person. I would have thought that if you got to doing payments, I think that would have been, doing the unemployment, I think that would have knocked you down a lot. And so I can honestly say I never drew unemployment in my life. I can honestly say, even though I had the opportunity with a wife and kids at home during the dead of winter, not knowing where my next paycheck's coming from in 3 or 4 months. Yeah. We might be going through that again in this recession that's coming about. So if you're a new guy, just be careful out there. If you can, work, pay cash for things, and save your nickels and dimes and your pennies, and and put them up and invest it a little bit, and you'll be all right. I just hate for you to go through something that you didn't see it coming, but if you've been around the block a little bit, sometimes you get the feeling like, man, this is no good. And then other times it all works out, I think old Tom Petty had a thing saying, most things I worried about never came true. So, I think that's what he said. But anyway, hey, if you like the videos, hit the like button and the subscribe button. And I'll see you on the next one.